Hello everybody and welcome back to another Brawlmachine video. Today we have Rasheth facing off against the Harbinger of Menoth, and this is going to be a really interesting battle. Lots of high spell slingy casters here, which is really interesting, something that I don't normally do. So it's myself playing Rasheth against Dean playing Harbinger, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I do also just want to quickly take a moment to apologize for the lack of videos the last couple months. We were on a pretty consistent 2-month schedule until recently, but unfortunately between school and life and work and all that other stuff, I just haven't been able to really even play any games, let alone record them. So hopefully we can be back on track now, back to regular uploads. And yeah, also looking at potentially trying to throw some other war games into the mix on the channel. There's an updated channel banner now that has a few different models and stuff on it from various games that I want to try and incorporate into the channel, so hopefully we can start to see that soon. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into lists. So for my list today, I decided to bring Dominar Rasheth in the Exalted theme. So I have very little experience with the Exalted theme, and this was actually my first time playing Dominar Rasheth, but I wanted to try something a little different. And I think the matchup ended up being really, really cool, just seeing Rasheth versus Harbinger. So Rasheth is pretty interesting. He's fairly unique from most of the casters I play. He has no weapons himself. He only has 14 armor and 10 defense, but he does have 20 boxes, and he has impervious flesh. So at first he seems really squishy until you realize he has that. At that point, he becomes a lot more difficult to deal with. He's got steady and dark rituals, meaning he can kill his own dudes to channel through them, basically. His spell list is pretty good. He's got Blood Mark, which is a arm debuff that allows him to transfer damage to the affected model. He has Breath of Corruption, which is AoE Scather templates, basically. He's got Carnivore, which is nice. It's a good way to remove things from play, stop from recursion effects, and also just being able to give extra mat is always convenient. Castigate is nice, especially since he has a really good control range, so he can kind of shut down enemy spellcasters. If Harbinger didn't out control range him, then that would have been really, really good. Influence is useful when it's useful. Interestingly enough, though, in this one, it doesn't let them move and make a basic attack, unlike, I think it's Dark Seduction, that I want to say one of the Denny's has. So that was something that I learned the hard way kind of through this game. And then Sunder Spirit, which is just kind of his shooty weapon. It good against war beasts because he can disable animi. So for his feat, enemy models get -2 strength, defense, and arm in his control range, and then when a living model is destroyed in his control range, whether it's friendly or enemy, he heals 1. I find the healing thing doesn't come up too often. Maybe I'm just not playing him forward enough for him to be getting hit, but he didn't take very much damage through most of the game. And the debuff, though, is fantastic. It's a really good defensive buff from the strength debuff, and a fantastic offensive buff on the defense and arm debuff. With Dominar Rasheth today, I decided to bring a Titan Gladiator. This guy's just a really, really good beatstick. He's fantastic at slamming, so if I need to push things out of zones, he's good for that. And he has the Rush Animus, which is really good. With him, I brought the Archidon. This was kind of going to be my solo hunter, get out on the flag, kill something, get off of the flag, and then hopefully be useful at some other point in the game. That was kind of the whole idea with the Archidon, and that's kind of the idea with the Archidon every time I bring it. And then lastly, I brought an Agonizer. I wanted to be able to double up on the strength debuff, double up on the anti-spell stuff. I just wanted to make sure I had lots of annoying in-your-face things, because I feel like that's something Rasheth wants to do. For solos in this list, I brought an Ancestral Guardian as my requisition point. He has a movable object because of the theme. He's got Defensive Strike, which is a fantastic ability. He gives Immortal models and units activating within 5 of him +2 movement, which is absolutely massive for the Immortals, which is really the main reason why he's in this list. He can use souls to give himself that same movement buff. He can make additional melee attacks, or he can boost attack and damage rolls, which is pretty good. He's got Steady, Soul Vessel, all the standard exalted things. Next, I have the Extoller Soulward. I just think Spirit Eye is a really stupid gun. For those who don't know what Spirit Eye does, it's a range 8 POW 6 on a RAP 5 base. but it has Ghost Shot, so it ignores line of sight, concealment, and all that sort of thing. And it has Annihilating Gaze, meaning it adds the strength of the model it's hitting to the damage roll. So even though it sounds weak as a POW 6, if I'm hitting a Warjack with Strength 12, for example, it becomes a POW 18 gun on a 3-point model, which is just really, really good. And the accuracy doesn't matter because normally I'm trying to hit things like Jacks with this. Next we get on to Hakaar The Destroyer. Hakaar is a character exalted solo. He's got the standard exalted stuff, including a mobile object, but he also takes souls and has Ghost Shield. He's got Righteous Vengeance. He's got 2 POW 13s that he can combo strike, and he has Veteran Leader for the exalted. All around, good model. And next we have the Void Spirit. This guy's goal was kind of just to sit on a flag. He doesn't end up doing a crazy amount, but he does have Incorp. He does have a few little tricks here and there. Poltergeist is kind of nice. If anything comes to melee him, he can throw him away. He's got Void Walk, so if I do need him to come off the flag, he can get back to it as long as he actually kills whatever he goes in on. So just decent model to have. And lastly, I brought a full unit of Immortals. These guys are relatively decently hard hitters. They're POW 13s, they have Vengeance, and there's really not much more to them than that. They are slow, they have decent armor, and they hit relatively hard. With all the buffs though, I kind of fixed their speed. I bring them up to mat 7, mat 9 under my feet, which is just really, really good. So yeah, they're accurate, they hit reasonably hard, and on a charge, I mean, POW 13s will do a good amount of damage to pretty much anything. So that's my list, and without further ado, we will move on to talking about Dean's list. So before I get into list details, I just did want to quickly mention I will actually be going over the audio for Dean's side of this battle report. Dean isn't as commonly available to do audio recordings, and he doesn't enjoy doing them as much. So for videos when it's myself versus Dean or Reed versus Dean, I will most likely be doing the audio for Dean. If that's fine with you guys, that's awesome, then we're going to continue to do these. If not, we'll just do more videos that are just me and Reed in that case, and then it won't really be a problem. But we're trying it out, and if you guys are alright with having one person do all the audio, then fantastic, we'll keep doing it in the future. So anyways, for Dean's list today, he was bringing Protectorate of Menoth in the Exemplar Interdiction. So he has the Harbinger of Menoth as his Warcaster today. Harbinger of Menoth is notable for having Focus 10. She's got Divinity, she's got Martyrdom, and she's got Awe. Awe being something that I think we actually kind of didn't use like all game, but I could be wrong about that. I really just asked him his defenses and he told me. So he might have been accounting for it, but honestly I don't think he was. So that's something we'll have to keep in mind going forward. Martyrdom, on the other hand, was used plenty. Going into the spell list, we have Cataclysm, which is basically gets weaker the farther away your target is from you, which is interesting. So if you're using that max range, it's a POW 12, which, you know, not bad. And then we have Crusader's Call, Guided Hand, and Purification. So Crusader's Call is going to be a speed buff, Guided Hand is an accuracy buff, and Purification removes upkeep spells and continuous effects. So those are all kind of the buff ones. I guess Purification could be a debuff, depending what you're removing. And then Rebuke, which is target model cannot give or receive orders, or model/unit cannot give orders, receive orders, or make power attacks or special attacks. So that's pretty good for crippling a unit's ability to charge and such like that. And then for the feat, for 1 round, enemy models that end their movement in her command range closer to her than they began suffer a unboostable POW 14 fire damage roll. That is really crippling and was going to be a big problem this battle report for my infantry. With the Harbinger, he brought an Indicter, which is relatively basic kind of just powerhouse warjack. It does have Sacred Ward and Consecration, so it's very anti-spell. Next, he also brought the Guardian, which is a Arc Node heavy warjack. It's got reasonable melee output itself, critical pitch, powerful charge, and set defense. Going into the solos, he brought one solo today. It was the Exemplar Bastions Seneschal. The Seneschal is giving the Exemplar Bastions the ability to remove one damage point when they begin an activation within his control range, and Tactician with the Exemplars as well. He also has Drive Rhythm of Seal, but that didn't come up because he wasn't Jack Marshalling here. Other than that, set defense, defensive strike, and Aegis from the theme, making him just an all-around half-decent melee solo. Of course, with them, he brought the Cinerators, which have Vengeance. They hit relatively hard, and the Officer for them, giving them Shield Wall and Defensive Formation and Takedown, which are all really good abilities, and honestly probably one of the better officers in the game. The Bastions themselves have Defensive Strike and Sanguine Bond, which is kind of their big thing. They basically get to share damage boxes, which is pretty cool. And then they still have set defense and are relatively bulky as they are, so they're pretty solid all around. Lastly, he brought a min unit of Choir just to be able to protect his jacks. And yeah, that was that. So that was Dean's list, and we'll get right into the battle report. Hope you guys enjoy. Menoth, turn 1. Alright, so Dean had the roll to go first here, and I'm pretty sure the name of the game here was pretty much just move everything up. I don't think there was too much specifically that he really could do aside from that. He might have put out a few of his buff spells. I'm not 100% sure, to be completely honest. But I know he did use the Choir to do the anti-spell targeting this turn. Unfortunately, one of the downsides to me doing Dean's audio is I don't really know his exact thought process on why he put things where he did. So I can really just speak to what actually happened. But yeah, so he has his Cinerators up on the top there. And I guess his goal with them was kind of to have the Cinerators tie up the zone and then hopefully thin out my army, and then his Bastions and his other Jack down at the bottom there would be able to come in and kind of just clean house at the end. So he has them going around the long way there, and I think he just moved Harbinger up there, and now he's moving the Bastions. I don't remember off the top of my head which Jack was which, but I believe the Arcnode one is the one at the bottom. I'm hopefully going to be able to confirm that later, because I believe the Arcnode one ends up getting a critical pitch at some point throughout this, so we'll see when that happens. But yeah, I remember, yeah, he was debating between whether he wanted to loop it around with the Bastions or if he wanted to bring it closer to the center, and he decided to go for the middle. And that's Menoth turn 1. Skorne, turn 1. Alright, so I see that my opponent's pretty much just moving everything up, and my plan is basically to do the same. There's not really too much to do right now. Everything's kind of in a very early state. We both have relatively slow armies. So I use Rasheth first, actually, to put Rush onto the Titan. So that way the Titan's going to be able to run with the +2 movement. And then what I'm doing from there is I'm just throwing out a few Breath of Corruption AoEs and seeing where they land. So we're figuring out where those go now, and the first one kind of goes in the right direction, but it's also kind of tucked behind the building, so I figure it's probably not going to have a huge impact on the game. And then the second one I think we're about to roll in a second. And if I remember correctly, it actually kind of comes back, not directly back towards me. Oh yeah, no, it did go directly back towards me, just not very far, so it's not really getting in my way either. It's just not doing anything for me. So that was a little disappointing, but what can you do? And from here, the majority of the rest of the turn is pretty much just moving everything up. So I'm running all my models. Like I said, I was making sure the Titan had the extra movement. And I'm realizing now I think I might have actually used the wrong Titan model. I don't play Skorne very often. I kind of got all these models at once, so I don't entirely know how to tell the difference between them yet. I haven't figured out what the differences are, but I think I accidentally grabbed the bronze back instead of the Gladiator, which, whoops, my bad. But it doesn't really make a difference. Same size base, similar looking enough model. I throw up the Gnawing Pain on the Agonizer, just to kind of have that out there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing for the rest of my turn. Menoth, turn 2. Alright, so I had advanced my army up, and now Dean just kind of had to decide how he wanted to interact. I made a mistake and I left the Archidon in range for his Cinerators to get to it, and Dean immediately realized that and wanted to capitalize on it. So I think he was just kind of planning it out now, how he wants to do it. And it looks like he's moving the Jack first. I think he was also checking if the Jack could get in, which I believe we decided it could not. It was just going to be, I think, 3 Cinerators were able to get in, including the officer. So now he's measuring things out and just making sure he's not putting anything of his in too much danger of my stuff. So we'll spend a little bit of time on this before eventually deciding to move with the Cinerators. Alright, so it looks like he does actually move the Jack first, and he's just kind of having it get forward and be a little bit intimidating. He doesn't want to let too much of my stuff get to it, but I believe, yeah, he feats then, so my infantry pretty much can't get to it. And then he's just kind of putting Harbinger in a position where she's going to be safe, but I'm going to have a hard time getting to his Jack with anything other than my own heavies, which his goal, of course, here being to knock out the Archidon, so I'm 1 down. So now I believe he's putting the accuracy spell onto the Cinerators here, if they didn't already have it from last turn. And I think he's deciding he might have put Rebuke onto my unit here. I'm not 100% sure, I'll be completely honest. Alright, so now he's starting to move the Cinerators in, and I believe we did determine he was going to get 3 of them. So he moves the 3 in first, and then he has the last one kind of just chill a little bit behind them, if I remember correctly. He might have started making his attack rolls first. No, he did move them in. Sorry, so he shows up beside them there. He couldn't quite get into melee range, so he's just there to be threatening. And he starts rolling his attack rolls here. So, if I remember correctly, he misses the first one here, which we'll see him roll out in a second. And yeah, so he rolls the first one, and that one misses, so he makes the second one, and that one hits, or maybe that was the second one. I know he hits really, really hard when he does, and I know only 2 of them did hit. But it ends up leaving my Archidon on, I think, 1 or 2 boxes, and it's on fire. So it's definitely not in a very good position, but if I remember correctly, he does leave it alive. So 1 or 2 boxes, and then a 33% chance that the fire goes out. Yeah, and there's, maybe it was the middle one he missed, because there you can see the damage grid on my phone there is just not looking pretty at all. He's still rolling, so maybe he does actually hit all 3. I didn't think he did. Right, yes, he did leave it on 1 box. Yeah, leaving it up to fire for the next round, because I believe he didn't have anything else that could really have poked it off the board. So for the rest of Dean's turn, pretty much just moving things up into better positions for the next turn. I think he makes sure the Seneschal is over by the flag, and he goes anti-spell on both of his Warjacks again. So yeah, I'll let that play out here, as yeah, he's just going to move the Bastions around to kind of start to get up near that house so they can be relevant in the next turns, and then same for his other Jack over there. Skorne Turn 2. Alright, so losing the Archidon quite frankly sucks. I didn't mean to let him get it that turn. It was pretty brutal, and then the spike dice and everything was really not good. However, there were some upsides. It means he pushed that unit fairly far forward, meaning they're actually something that I can realistically kill, because under his feet, I really didn't want to get my unit too close. So I'm removing the Breath of Corruptions now, and I'm just kind of figuring out what I want to do, how I want to approach this, because there's a lot of stuff that that can be done. So now that I have a semi-decent idea, I believe I activated Rasheth first. and if I remember correctly, I screwed up because I kind of just forgot how his stuff works. So I nudge him up a little bit, and what I tried to do was I tried to cast my armor debuff on the unit, really just to make it easier for my Immortals to kill them. He used the choir to stop my spells from targeting his jacks, otherwise I would have put it on his jack. But I roll the dice to hit, and then I reread the spell and realize that it can't actually affect a unit, it has to be a single model. Thankfully, Dean was kind enough to let me take it back, and instead I went for Influence, where once again I should have read my own spell. I realized it's not the exact same as Dark Seduction, and I don't get to move the model, but at that point I wasn't about to take back 2 spells, and there really wasn't much better for me to do. So instead of having the Cinerator hit the Warjack, I just had him smack the unit leader. I think I do a decent amount of damage, but I don't kill, and actually it's possible he took, no, he didn't take damage on the Harbinger, so no, I just do a tiny bit of damage there, and then I'm figuring out what I'm going to do from there. I think I put the Cannibal spell up on my friendly unit to just give them a little bit more oomph, and, or I guess more accuracy that doesn't affect power. From there, I think I'm just launching my little POW 12, just for the sake of doing something. And I believe he just took damage on Harbinger. Yes, he did. And if I remember correctly, that was the first one he did, and he took like 4 damage out of it, which was pretty nice. So now it's time for the Immortals to go. I need them to go first, so I'm not eating any free strikes when I move in with my Titan. So I position them all. I'm trying to put at least 2 on each one of these guys because I know he's going to do some Harbinger shenanigans to try and keep some of them alive. So my goal is to make sure as few of them as possible do survive. And I have one of them run all the way over there. The reason for that is just because I want him to trigger vengeance on me, and I'm hoping that will tempt him. So I start making my attacks, starting with the top guy. And this goes fairly well. What ends up happening here is I roll reasonably hot, and I would kill the first guy, but he realizes that nobody else can actually hit him, so he Harbingers it and manages to keep him alive. The rest of them I start going through one at a time, and I believe I actually remove the rest of the unit, not despite him attempting to keep a few things alive. I just have too many attacks, and he realizes it's kind of not worth it, so I'm too accurate. I'm hitting all of them, and my odds to kill are very, very good on these guys. So I wipe all of them except the top guy there, who is left on 1 box. From there, I decide I was about to use the Titan, and then I realized that I have my little Extoller Soulward, where, oh, actually, I did the Void Spirit first, so I'll do the Void Spirit stuff first. I decided I'm just going to charge him through my stuff to try and finish off this last guy, and he misses, which is absolutely brutal. And I decide I'm giving up the flag for the moment because he hits and he just chooses to Harbinger it. That's correct. So because he didn't destroy him, I can't teleport, and that's okay though, because I kind of just wanted to chip Harbinger. So now I have the Soulward blast the Warjack, which I realized while recording this video is actually illegal because, well, it's not illegal, but the amount of damage that I did was, because it doesn't get to have the strength of constructs. So I end up really spiking the damage roll, as you'll see in a minute. And, sorry, so that was the hit, and then I boost the damage using my soul because I'm looking at a POW 17, which, again, I shouldn't be looking at. And you'll see the dice in a second here, but one of them kind of flies behind my bin there, but it's 2 6s and a 4, if I remember correctly. So I end up doing 12 damage to the thing, knocking out his shield arm too, because it went to the 6, which is absolutely brutal. So I kind of feel bad about that one. I didn't mean to, and I've cleared it up with Dean now, so he knows that that's not actually how that works. So anyways, after obliterating that thing's shield, I run Hakaar over to the flag because I figure Hakaar's probably not doing anything for a little bit. and I have my Titan go and charge the Warjack that's now missing a shield. So I send him in, and I do reasonably well here. So making my initials first, I think I get roughly average dice on most of my initials, but could be wrong about that. We'll let it roll out, but basically, yeah, I managed to take down the heavy there, and then from that point, I kind of just, I think I might still have like 2 activations left. I meant to defeat this turn, kind of forgot about it, so I just used the Agonizer to give myself the strength debuff, just to hope I can maybe keep my Titan alive. And then I might just reposition the Ancestral Guardian a little bit, but I'm pretty sure he stays roughly in that area of the board anyways. So yeah, that's pretty much the rest of my turn there. Menoth, turn 3. Alright, so I had dealt a pretty crippling blow to Dean last turn. I took out one of his Warjacks, and I took out most of his Cinerator unit. And because of all the ones he tried to save with Harbinger, Harbinger was feeling a little bit of pain right now as well. So he has to be extra careful with Harbinger, and he's definitely playing on a bit of a back foot. So now it's kind of up to him to figure out what he wants to do with his remaining few pieces. I think he's making a vengeance attack here, and I think he actually ends up missing it. I could be wrong about that though. But yeah, I don't know why his model was being moved there exactly. Oh, I think he missed, and the Void thing had a thing it gets to do when he misses it. That's what it was. So now Dean's trying to figure out what he wants to do next. And I don't entirely remember what he goes for, but I know one of the main game plans here is to have the Jack go in and take out my heavy, and the Cinerator I think ends up taking another swing at the Void Spirit over there. So one of the nice things here is Dean's fairly confident he's going to take down my heavy even under feet, so he puts the anti-spell instead of the +2 damage up with the Choir, which was definitely an interesting decision here. Not what I personally would have done. I would have secured the kill, and I think he realized once we started rolling damage rolls that he might have wanted the damage just because, well, here I'm helping him figure out the facing and positioning of his Jack, because he wanted to not be opening himself up to too much, but he wanted to allow the other stuff he has to get in. But yeah, I would have personally just tried to secure the kill, because I think he realized under my feet and everything just how hard it was going to be to crack through my War Beast here. So he makes his attacks, and yeah, I'm like 90% sure this is the one with the spear, just because, or the Arc Node, just because I think he gets the crit pitch at some point here and just chooses not to do it. And yeah, so he rolls out the damage, and you can kind of see the damage boxes on the right there. I'm pretty sure it goes pretty close, but if I remember correctly, he does take it down, or oh no, he leaves it on about 2 boxes. So now he's trying to figure out how to get the Bastions to finish it off. He has the Seneschal solo there, and he's trying to decide whether he should be sending in the solo or one of the infantry, and I think it looks like he's decided on the infantry, so he just kind of advances the other 2 up to be in positions where they can be relevant next turn, but hopefully not just get wiped off the board. And this last guy is making his attack into my heavy, and I genuinely don't remember if he gets it here or not. So looks like he didn't. I haven't, oh no, I did remove the model, so he did manage to finish it off. And now he's figuring out what Harbinger wants to do. So one of the big things here is he's going to be putting Rebuke on my unit, because then they can't charge, which makes them significantly less threatening into his heavy Warjack there, because without charges they're really not hitting that hard. So from here he's just got to make sure he's got the range for that, and yeah, now he's measuring from the Arc Node. I think he's also deciding to use his blasting spell just to try to do a little bit of damage here and there. And if I remember correctly, he actually targets out the Agonizer here, because the Agonizer was part of why he had such a hard time killing my heavy there, giving its little -2 strength debuff. So he puts a spell on, I think that was Rebuke that he just threw onto my unit. And now he's doing his blasting spell. And I don't actually remember what he was targeting here. It might have been my unit. It might also have been my Soulward, because as I mentioned during the beginning of this video, or maybe it was during my turn, the Soulward was being used to target Jax, and we didn't realize that was not a thing that he's supposed to be able to do. So it might have been one of his priority targets here was to take out the Soulward. I'm not entirely sure. So anyways, I believe the rest of his turn is pretty much just moving things up, and then right now he's doing the templates. I don't think any of these actually managed to damage any of the Immortals, but he does kill his original target if I remember correctly. So he removes, I think that was the Soulward, and then he starts slinging them into the Agonizer as well, just to try and chip into that. So I have the stat block open up there, and I think he just does 1 or 2 shots into it. Looks like just the one, and he does a decent chunk of damage, but it's an Agonizer, so it really doesn't matter too much. Alright, so Skorne Turn 3, not only did he manage to take out my Jack, but he also managed to do it while putting up the anti-spell thing from the choir instead of the strength buff, which is pretty bad for me. So I'm figuring out what to do now. I have the Soulward move up, and of course I'm pretty sure I did the same thing I did previously, where I'm using it to shoot a Jack, which is illegal, unfortunately, but totally understandable because the gun on that guy is ridiculous. So I'm not sure actually what came out of that. Oh no, that was Hakaar that I moved. Hakaar had a Righteous Vengeance move. Okay, we're good. Oh no, yeah, the Soulward is dead. I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing it here. So Rasheth is going to sling off some spells and then move on to the flag himself, I believe was my goal here. I was going to move him first, and then I realized that's putting him out of range of a lot of spells, so I kind of rearranged that plan there. I start casting off some spells. I know I can't target the Warjack, so I was thinking about where I'm going to put Breath of Corruption and stuff like that, and I think I ultimately decide I really don't have very many good targets. I think I throw Sundering Spirit into the guy at the top there, and maybe I kill him with Rasheth. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, that's pretty much all Rasheth does here. I put Carnivore or Cannibal, whatever it's called, on my unit again. I think it's Carnivore. And from there, he's kind of just sitting and waiting. Everything else is either out of reach or immune to spells. So I do manage to remove the Cinerator. And now it's just a matter of backing up, sitting on the flag, and popping feet, of course, because the -2 defense and armor is going to be very important if I want to actually kill that Jack this turn. So now it's on to the Immortals, probably. Maybe I move some of my solos first. Hakaar did his Vengeance move, but he hasn't actually had his activation move yet. So yeah, I am doing the Immortals, and I'm being careful to stay out of the Bastion's range, but still get as many Immortals as possible. One of my Immortals is already in melee with a Bastion, and I was hoping he was going to be able to get some damage in, so I rolled the other 6 of them first, and then figure out from there. One of the Immortals that couldn't quite get to the Jack goes over to the flag, or to the objective, and then I realized that I was giving myself 2 inches less movement than I needed, so I could fit another Immortal in. And so now it's just time to start smacking. I have 7 Immortals on that Jack, and 1 on the objective. So I think I roll 6 of the hits first, and if I remember correctly, all of them do hit. So there's just going to be some rolling for a moment here, and yeah. After that, I believe I needed the third one to, or the seventh one to actually finish off the Jack. So I did have him go in as well. And I actually don't remember if the Jack was finished off by the end of that. So we will have to see. It looks like I did damage on the objective first, and I think I did 4 damage to it. I'm pretty sure that's what that die is showing there. So, not terrible. Almost to half health. And, yeah, so now I'm just working out how I'm going to roll all of the other guys here. So, I do indeed manage to remove the Warjack from the table, which is pretty good. From there, it's just figuring out what I'm going to do with my few remaining solos. So, oh, I think I realized that I missed one of the Immortals, so I just moved him up to be with the others. And then I'm moving Hakaar now, trying to figure out where I want him to fit in. I don't want him to eat anything like free hits or anything like that, so I'm just kind of moving him forward for the moment. Menoth, turn 4. Alright, so me taking out Dean's Warjack was a big problem. He was really hoping it was going to survive this turn because he was stopping my unit from being able to charge, and he kind of needed to have a heavy piece still on the table. So now it's kind of just his Bastions, and of course he can spell sling. So that's what he starts out doing. He takes Harbinger, and I believe he's just launching more shots into the Agonizer. He needs to take it off the table, just because the strength debuff is making it hard for his Bastions to do much now, and that's just a problem. So I believe he blows it up this turn, if I remember correctly, but yeah, I'm waiting to see the damage boxes actually pop up on my screen again, or to see it just get taken off the table. But yeah, I think there he was doing the blast damage, and now he's putting the next one in. So he takes the Agonizer down to 0, removes it from the table. I think we roll the blast damage, but he doesn't get any of them because it's some ridiculous amount that he needs. And then I believe he moves Harbinger over to the flag here because he needs to have something camping his flag. Harbinger doesn't want to be where Harbinger is right now, and he wants the Bastion Seneschal to be able to move up and hopefully influence the battle a little bit more than just sitting on a flag. So that might have been another rebuke that he threw out there, and that's exactly what it is. So he throws rebuke on my unit again just to kind of say screw you to those guys, they can't do anything for a little bit. And then he jumps Harbinger over to the flag, so she'll be safe for a little bit longer. He has the Choir actually do a run charge, so 2 of them just kind of move in, but the other 2 are attempting to take out some Immortals, and then he changes his mind. He has the other 2 go over to the other side of the building. Not that it's really going to have a huge impact, but now the other thing he's managed to do by taking out my Agonizer is he's made it so I can't actually score this rectangle zone anymore. So my scoring lead can't be too much, which is working in his favor because I believe we're even at this point. So the Choir does pretty much what you'd expect, which is nothing. They're really not meant to be in melee. But the Bastions, on the other hand, they all get in, and I make my defensive strike here, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it amounts to too much, and if it does, then I'm pretty sure he just has Harbinger do Harbinger's thing and keep him alive. So, yeah. Yeah, he's doing the Harbinger thing, or no, he's just making attack rolls. Okay. So yeah, he starts swinging into my stuff here, and he takes out at least a couple guys here, I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly, Hakaar and most of my Immortals are still standing, as well as my solo, but he does take down at least a couple of just the regular dudes. So he gets a tiny bit back on attrition this turn, but unfortunately the Choir weren't able to do anything, so he's still pretty down at this point in the game. Skorne, turn 4. So the name of the game now is just kind of remove most of his pieces that can actually do work that are left, and I can then from that point kind of just camp on scenario. My plan is basically just to leave him with the Choir and the Harbinger, and at that point there's not too much he can do if I still have like infantry and stuff floating around, as well as Rasheth himself. Harbinger is super low at this point, and I know he can't really do too many more of his revival tricks. If he's not already, then I know at some point this turn he gets down to, I believe, 3 health remaining. So I'm doing, I think I'm doing vengeance moves right now. Yeah, I'm just kind of nudging them and making their vengeance smacks. And he points out to me that the solo up at the top would have been able to smack my guy, so instead I just move him into the Choir. So I start doing my vengeance attacks, and we'll see how these go here. I don't entirely remember how much work gets done on vengeance versus how much work gets done on their actual turn. But yeah, so we'll let the dice roll out for a little bit and see what gets removed here. Yeah, so I'm making my attacks into the bulk of them. I killed a couple of the Choir already, it looks like, and now I think I remove 1 or 2 more of the Bastions using the vengeance attacks. So that's 1 down, and I might get another one here on vengeance. I'm pretty sure at least one of them survives the vengeance swings, so I have to deal with him on my actual turn. So I also am pretty sure I misplayed and I lost a guy moving into a defensive strike that really didn't need to die, but it wasn't really a huge loss at this point. I'm pretty confident in the numbers advantage, so I think I leave the last Bastion on like 1 or 2 boxes, and then my turn comes around, or like my main turn, and I'm kind of just wanting to finish it off, get that out of the way. So move a couple models in, and I think I managed to remove it from the board without too many issues. I'm taking damage on something there. Oh, I think I moved Hakaar in, and Hakaar took a free strike, or a defensive strike rather. And then he does successfully manage to remove him, so that was good. And now I'm just kind of moving up the rest of my force. I'm acknowledging that I'm going to take a free hit from the solo here, and I think he does remove one of my guys. So I lose a single immortal, but I get 2 or 3 in, I'm pretty sure. So now it's just a matter of making sure I can kill this solo, because he's kind of one of the last pieces on the board that can actually do work. So let the dice roll out again, and I don't actually remember if I remove him or not. I know it's definitely close. Yeah, I do take him off the board. Perfect. And then I make a final attack into the objective. I believe I leave it on 1 box actually, which is a bit of a shame, but also doesn't really matter too much at this point, because I know I've kind of put Dean into a very desperate situation. So I leave it on 1 box. Rasheth really doesn't know what to do here at this point. Oh, I think he blasts it to death. Yeah, I shoot it with... Oh no, that was when I left it on 1 box. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's the end of my turn. Menoth, turn 5. Alright, so at this point, Dean's pretty much got nothing left. He's got like 2 Choir guys and of course the Harbinger himself. So his only shot is a very last-ditch assassination attempt, which I think we even used this spell wrong, because I'm pretty sure he was treating it as though it was pretty much unlimited range. But when I was looking over the stats a minute ago, it maxed out at range 8. Because I know for sure during some of the earlier turns here when he was shooting it at my Immortals and my other guys there, he was treating it as a POW 8, which, if I read that spell correctly, it shouldn't actually be possible to get that low. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, so he moves Harbinger up. I think he actually made a charge and he killed one of the Immortals or something like that. And Harbinger at this point is on like 2 health from all of the saving his other stuff that he's been doing. So he's making the last ditch, and I don't remember what POW he had it on, but we basically determined it's pretty much impossible. So he does try and roll it out though, and we'll see the results of that in a second here. And he ends up, I think he hits there, so he decides to boost the damage, and does, I think, like maybe a couple points of damage to me. I have the whole reduced by 1, and we call game there because all I have to do is pass my turn, and at that point I win. So Good game all around. And that was the end of that battle report, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do drop a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really means a lot to us, and I'm glad that we're back and doing this again. I miss recording these types of videos. They're a ton of fun, and I'm really excited to see what's coming next for this channel because there's tons of other games I want to put out. In terms of this battle report, this was honestly one of the best games of Warmachine I've had in a long time, and Dean agreed with me on that after this game. It was just a really weird, like the Harbinger and Rasheth basically did the exact same thing all game. If you go back from the beginning, they start out in kind of similar positions and they both make the like almost mirror movements of each other. And I've found it kind of interesting that like on the same turn we had our work solos go off the flag to go, or yeah, the flag to go do work, and we had to go put our casters over to the flag to capture them. And it was just really entertaining to see kind of that symmetry between these two casters, which was super cool. And as Dean pointed out to me, this is actually like a battle that happened at one point in lore, was Rasheth versus Harbinger. So that's also pretty cool because, you know, lore accurate battles are kind of fun, even if these might not necessarily have been the proper armies for them. But yeah, no, this was a super great game, and I mean, we didn't even realize by the end of it that it actually went to turn 5 because everything was just kind of really fast. Like our first couple turns were basically just moving up, and like I shot some Scathers, so we didn't even realize until post that we had actually hit round 5, which was pretty insane. Anyways, that's all for today. Have a great day, and peace.